Join me as I dive deep into the world of Apple stock and challenge myself to analyze expert opinions and predictions. Can I make sense of it all before the market opens? Apple stock has been a hot topic for investors and tech enthusiasts alike, with its performance often seen as a bellwether for the broader market. The purpose of this video is to tap into the expertise of stock market analysts and understand their viewpoints on Apple's stock trajectory. By examining their insights, we aim to gain a deeper understanding of what the future might hold for one of the world's most valuable companies. Apple currently faces a myriad of challenges that could impact its stock performance. One significant hurdle is the intensifying competition in the tech industry, particularly from rivals like Samsung and Huawei, which are continually innovating and capturing market share. Another challenge is the ongoing supply chain disruptions that have become a recurring issue, affecting the production and distribution of Apple's flagship products. Furthermore, economic factors such as inflation and fluctuating consumer spending habits also play a critical role in influencing Apple's stock. The rising costs of components and manufacturing could potentially squeeze profit margins, making it a tough environment for the tech giant. The global economic landscape is another critical factor that experts are keeping an eye on. With potential recessions on the horizon in various countries, consumer demand for high-end electronics could decline, impacting Apple's revenue. Additionally, regulatory challenges, particularly in regions like Europe and China, could affect how Apple operates and generates revenue. Trade tensions and antitrust investigations might force Apple to rethink its business strategies, potentially affecting its stock performance. These are just a few of the many factors that contribute to the complex environment in which Apple operates. Supply chain issues have been a thorn in Apple's side for years, but recent developments have shown some improvement. However, the ongoing dependency on a few critical suppliers poses a risk that could easily disrupt production. Diversifying its supply chain has been a goal for Apple, but it's a challenging task given the complexity and scale of its operations. This balancing act between managing costs and ensuring a stable supply of components is crucial for maintaining investor confidence. The trade tensions between the US and China also present a significant risk, given that a substantial portion of Apple's products are manufactured in China. Tariffs and other trade restrictions could increase costs and affect pricing strategies, potentially dampening consumer demand. Moreover, the ongoing scrutiny over big tech companies could lead to more stringent regulations, impacting how Apple operates and does business. Various experts have shared their analyses on Apple's stock, offering diverse perspectives. Some analysts believe that Apple's strong brand loyalty and innovative product pipeline will continue to drive growth. They point to the consistent performance of services like Apple Music, iCloud, and the App Store as key revenue drivers. On the other hand, some experts are more cautious, citing the competitive landscape and potential saturation in mature markets as significant risks. One expert highlighted Apple's aggressive push into artificial intelligence and augmented reality as a potential game changer. These technologies could open up new revenue streams and reinforce Apple's position in the market. However, the expert also noted that the adoption rate of these technologies might be slower than anticipated, posing a risk to investor expectations. Another viewpoint comes from analysts who focus on technical analysis and chart patterns. They suggest that Apple's stock price is at a critical juncture, with resistance levels that need to be broken for any significant upward movement. Their analysis indicates that investor sentiment is mixed, with some seeing the current dip as a buying opportunity, while others are more cautious. The regulatory environment is another area where experts are divided. Some see increased regulation as a minor hurdle, given Apple's strong financials and market position. Others, however, warn that significant changes could be on the horizon, potentially impacting the company's profitability and stock performance. One of the most compelling arguments from the experts is the emphasis on Apple's ecosystem and its impact on consumer behavior. The ecosystem stickiness, where users are deeply integrated into services like iCloud, Apple Music, and the App Store, creates a steady stream of recurring revenue. This ecosystem lock-in effect makes it difficult for consumers to switch to competitors, providing Apple with a stable foundation for growth. The innovations in Apple's product lineup, particularly the iPhone, continue to be a major driver of its stock performance. The annual upgrades and new features often generate significant consumer interest and drive sales. However, some experts caution that the incremental updates might not be enough to sustain the high growth rates that investors have come to expect. Experts also point out Apple's significant cash reserves and its potential for strategic acquisitions or investments. This financial flexibility allows Apple to explore new opportunities and mitigate risks by diversifying its business. The company's ability to generate cash and its strategy for deploying it could significantly influence its stock performance in the coming years. In summarizing the insights from the experts, it's clear that Apple stock faces both opportunities and challenges. The company's strong brand, innovative product pipeline, and financial health are positives. However, the competitive landscape, regulatory risks, and economic factors are elements that investors need to consider. Overall, the outlook for Apple stock seems cautiously optimistic, with growth potential driven by its ecosystem and innovation. If you have thoughts on Apple stock or its future performance, please share them in the comments below. For more insights and analysis on tech stocks and market trends, consider checking out our next video, where we dive into the impact of emerging technologies on the stock market.